There's a questline in Black Myth Wukong that provides two of the best weapons quite early on, and one of them is the earliest mythical weapon you can get, which also summons a Thunder Dragon whenever you perform heavy hits. This, ladies and gents, is the long questline, no pun intended. I'm going to show you everything you need to know about it, how to collect these amazing weapons, so let's jump right in. Now, the two weapons we get from this questline, excluding all the other goodies and other talismans, are the Long Wreath Staff, but also the upgraded Golden Mythical Long Staff. Now, both of them provide an increase in damage to all Pillar Stance moves, and as I've said before, Pillar Stance has theoretically the highest damage in the game via the Sweeping Gale move, assuming that you have enough stamina and you don't get interrupted, and also maybe keep enemies in range. But that Golden Long Staff goes one step above, which is going to be summoning this amazing Thunder Dragon at the 3 and 4 focus points heavy charge smash attack. So this is going to debuff enemies with Thunder, and enemies debuffed by Thunder also get damage increase on them, so you're basically going to deal some of the highest amount at this stage, which is basically around middle of chapter 4 when you get to complete it. And also 108 attack power, so that is going to be really nice. So let's go over the full quest line, as we did cover this partially before, but if you haven't seen it or if you want to have all the information in one place, here it goes. First of all, we're going to need that long skills key item, which is needed to unlock the first two bosses in the quest line behind the two waterfalls in chapter 1 and chapter 2. So for that, we're going to need to head over to chapter 2 Yellowwind Ridge, specifically to the Valley of Despair, and from that point on progress into the caves nearby, where we will fight the first Red Prince boss in this larger arena. Now, in this arena, there's a wall that we can break, so we can either bait an attack from the first Red Prince, or if for some reason you didn't do that or defeated the boss before it happened, you can just use any heavy attack from any of your summons to do it instead. Once you do so, go ahead in the newly opened secret area and grab that chest. It's going to give you the long skills that you need. And from this, we can start defeating the bosses, starting with Red Long in chapter 1, going at the outside the forest waypoint and just following that route until we reach the nearby waterfall. Now you're going to have a prompt to dispel it, and once you get inside of the newly opened access cave, you're going to fight the first dragon. Once you defeat it, this is going to give you one of the first crafting mats as well as the first blueprint for the Long Wreath Staff, which you will also need to craft to progress for the mythical version later down the line. Then you're going to go for Black Long, which is going to be back in chapter 2 at the Yellow Sand Ridge, this time around at the Rock Crest Flat. You're going to notice the waterfall is straight to the right up the stairs from the previous site of grace. Go and unlock the waterfall and just defeat the boss inside. Now this is going to be a bit more difficult, but again, it's going to drop the second component needed to craft the first epic staff. And even at this stage, it's going to be good enough, dealing some really good damage, especially if you use the Pillar Stance. But from this point on, now that we've done all of this, we can now unlock the third Cyan Long boss, which spawns in chapter 3, specifically at the New West Turtle Island Keeper Shrine. So from this point on, you're going to again look at the right side of the shrine and just head over to the edge of the cliff. Now, if for some reason you have not defeated the prior two long bosses, nothing will happen here. That is why you have to defeat the first two bosses, so that when you reach this area again, you're going to trigger a cutscene, which is going to make the boss thaw and basically commence the combat. Now, this is going to be more difficult than the previous two. It also incorporates a bunch of flyby attacks, so be careful about it. Try to dodge and incorporate as many auto dodge or see-through mechanics as you can, plus immobilizes and whatnot. Maybe even a bit of shock resistance if you can. But if you take it down, you get the next piece of the puzzle to unlock the mythical weapon. So this includes the Mountain Shaking Claw, and when you check your recipes, you will notice that you just unlocked the one to craft the Golden Long Staff, but you're still missing one of the pieces. Plus, you also get to unlock the Breath of Fire, which is a soak that provides a very good damage boost when performing an Unveiling Strike. But from here, there's going to be one final boss, which is going to be the Yellow Long boss encounter. You're going to find it right here in the Webbed Hollows in chapter 4 in a place called the Relief of the Fallen Long. But to reach that location, you will need to start from a bit earlier, right here from the Cliff of Oblivion. This is a place that you will progress to anyway, as there's even a boss in the area that you have to defeat. So from the waypoint, simply make your way through the same passageway where you fought that boss and then just go over this hand. You're going to want to jump straight ahead onto the platform below and circle back almost as if you're going in the same direction you just came from. From this point on, as you follow this path, you're going to see there's another jump point down with a bridge. So simply follow this bridge all the way into the cave system on the other end. From this point on, just make your way all the way to the back, and I definitely recommend using the cloud form here to just make this section easier and completely avoid any of these cocoons trying to attack you. Once you go to the other side, you're going to reach the relief of the fallen long. And if you rest over there, it should already trigger the cutscene when you get closer to this gazebo by the side of the cliff. And this is going to be by far the toughest of the challenges you completed until now in the long quest line. This guy also uses a lot of flyby attacks. Definitely pay attention to them because they will try to strike you way faster than you think, and they can also one or two shot you at that stage, so definitely be careful about it. Also, keep in mind that when he charges from far away while on the ground, he might do one of these grab attacks, which even if you do a see-through attack against, it's still going to grab you, so just stay away from it. But now that you completed the quest, you're going to get a bunch of items, so this includes the mythical components to craft that staff. You also get this golden lightning summon transformation right in front of you, so go ahead, retrieve the spear, and this is going to give you a brand new transformation, as well as additional perks in your transformation line that buff electric damage. Very useful if you craft that staff. Your light attack with this includes the lightning dance, which is basically a slash type attack that repeatedly hits the foes, also very useful and deals some pretty good damage. Now the heavy attack is called the fatal shadow. This is basically similar to the charge up attack that he also does against you, pretty much executing a fatal strike upon release. There's also counter see-through, like I said before, so you can follow attacks with a heavy attack to see through the enemy move and counter it, pretty much like how the boss does against you, but you also get to build up a focus point, which is really awesome. And then you have the heavy attack death trilogy, basically replaces fatal shadow, so if you perform a heavy attack with at least one focus point, this causes you to jump in the air, infusing your spear with thunder and also crashing down on the enemy with some heavy damage. So this move can be repeated up to 3 times if you have more focus points, which is really nice. Besides this, you also get a golden carp talisman, which moderately increases the chance of obtaining materials from defeating enemies, which can actually make one of those mind core farms we talked about yesterday a little bit better. Yeah, the chances do get slightly buffed by it, assuming that you want to buff celestial medicine or basically your permanent stats. Now, to make the most out of this weapon, you will have to use the pillar stance, because you do get that increase in damage for all of the pillar stance moves, especially sweeping gale and churning gale. These are going to be your bread and butter. Most of the attacks that you're going to be doing are going to be these two right here. But it's not going to be like a super crazy damage increase from just the unique set effect, but it does make a difference, especially since the weapon comes with 108 attack at this stage, which is just a bit after the middle of the game. So there are only a couple other weapons that have a higher damage than this, also mythical quality, and they come in much later than this. So probably the best option at this stage in the game. And besides this, I would also recommend always starting a boss fight by charging up at least 3 of those focus points to start in and immediately jump with that Thunder Dragon attack and just debuff the enemy right away. This is going to give you that huge bonus increase, and if you go in with an Immobilize, for example, you can just unleash that huge sweeping gale damage against it, which is also really great at crashing the Immobilize, so you basically get all of the benefits from Immobilize crashing plus the bonus damage from the golden long staff.